Audio test for Wayzata School Board meeting, August 10th, 2026.
Resource that helps support public school districts, charter schools, and tribal schools throughout Minnesota. Over time, careful management has helped the Permanent School Fund grow to more than $2.3 billion. This growth has prompted a discussion about how annual distributions
We're ready, huh? Good evening. The Wayzata Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Monday, August 10th, 2026 will please come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Good evening, colleagues. Heidi Cater,
Here.
Sheila Pryor. Sheila Pryor is absent. Alicia Little,
Here.
Paras Bendy,
Here.
Valentina Ayers,
Here.
Dan Ginestra. Dan Ginestra is present. Millen Sahoni,
Present.
Rob Virgin.
Here. Thank you. We have a quorum. Please rise if you are able to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you and welcome everyone. We're glad you could join us this evening. If you wish to speak during the audience opportunity to address the board, please fill out a form placed at the entrance of this building and hand it over to our district admin assistant, Amy Guy, sitting to my right. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the agenda and the consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are considered routine in nature and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member so requests, in which event the item will be removed as a consent agenda item and addressed. The consent agenda and the meeting agenda items are listed in the materials. The recommended action is to approve the agenda and the consent agenda items. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second. Moved and seconded. This is also a roll call vote.
Colleagues, Paras Bendy,
Yes.
Sheila Pryor. Sheila Pryor is absent. Heidi Cater,
Yes.
Valentina Ayers,
Yes.
Dan Ginestra. Dan Ginestra votes yes. Alicia Little,
Yes.
Millen Sahoni.
Yes. Thank you. We have an agenda. Thank you, Dan. Next item on the agenda is recognitions. In the spirit of inclusion, board members will take turns standing at the podium with Dr. Virgin. This evening, Director Ayers will join Superintendent Virgin at the podium.
All right. Thank you, Chair Sahoni. Good evening, everybody. I'm Rob Virgin. I'm Superintendent of Wayzata Public Schools, and we have a couple exciting recognitions to share with you tonight. The first one is a great tradition that we have here to recognize one of Wayzata's Inclusive Education or Educator Awards. And I'm going to welcome our Director of Student Support Services, Ginny Nias, forward to make this presentation. And as she makes her way this way, I just want to extend my gratitude to our Student Support Services team and all of our special educators working across the district. As I'll touch on a little bit later tonight, I've had a chance to meet with a lot of people across the community, students, former students, staff, community members, and the work that you do for our students continues to come up as an exceptional service that we provide. So tonight we get to highlight a member of our Northwoods team. So I'm going to welcome Ginny here to do that, and just wanted to extend my thank you for all the work that you're doing for our students and staff. Thank you.
Well, I would like Adam Fleischecker to come join me, as he is who we get to honor this evening. Good evening, esteemed board members, Superintendent Virgin, leaders, educators, and community members. It is my pleasure to stand before you this evening to celebrate the amazing educators of Wayzata who create inclusive experience for all of our learners. 38 of our staff members were nominated for their amazing work in creating inclusive classrooms and communities. Each of the nominees are inspiring and inclusive educators who have been nominated by parents, colleagues for creating, fostering, and being model inclusive educators. Today, we are celebrating a standout educator, Adam Fleischecker, who is a special education teacher from Northwoods Elementary. Adam was nominated for this award by Mark and Molly Isaacson, who shared the following. Our son is currently in the 4th grade. He's a 5th grader now. and lives with significant disabilities that could easily relegate him to sidelines. In many environments, it is considered safer or easier to let a student like our son remain an observer. Adam refuses to accept the sidelines. Whether it is navigating a bouncy house, climbing, or steering a scooter board, Adam provides the physical strength and stability he needs to participate. We have watched Adam personally transfer our son and hold him securely so he can feel the sensation of bouncing and playing alongside his peers. This level of exceptional execution and intentional planning ensures that he doesn't just watch the fun, he is part of it. While we are deeply moved by the genuine care Adam shows our son, his impact is far-reaching. We see him pour that same dedication into every student at Northwoods. His approach is defined by consistent communication and keeping families informed and celebrating every new milestone, no matter how small. With creative adaptation, by using innovative methods to ensure activities are accessible for all. And for his humility and character, and looking past outward appearances to see a child's true potential and helping them to rise above adversity. True character is revealed in the heart, and Adam's heart is firmly with his students. Because of the community he fosters, their son experiences a sense of belonging that goes beyond words. Adam doesn't just teach, he consistently demonstrates deep compassion and humility, serving our children with dedication that transforms the educational experience into one of true belonging. Congratulations to Adam for receiving the Inclusive Educator Award. This recognition is a testament to your unwavering commitment and outstanding efforts to promote inclusivity in education. By championing diversity and ensuring equal opportunities for all learners, you have made a significant and positive impact on countless lives. Your dedication to creating an inclusive learning environment is truly commendable. Keep up the excellent work and continue to inspire others with your remarkable achievements. We couldn't be more proud of you and your commitment to each and every learner. Congratulations, Adam. This recognition is a testament to your commitment and relentless focus on promoting inclusivity in education. Keep up the excellent work and continue to inspire others with your remarkable achievements. We couldn't be more proud of you. This is a token.
Well, just thank you. And 3 years ago, now 4 years ago, when Dr. Anderson gave the new staff presentation, I was introduced to the excellence for each and every for the first time. And I think a lot of businesses and other schools can take that as just a tagline. And it was important to me that it wasn't just a tagline. And I was blessed with, you can see just a portion over there of an amazing team that believes the same thing. So thank you.
All right, our second recognition tonight is for our retirees. Each month at our board meetings, we honor anyone who has indicated their intent to retire in that time. Tonight, we would like to recognize the following employees for their announcement of retirement for 26-27. We'd like to thank them for their years of service to Wayzata Public Schools and wish them well in their future endeavors. Tonight, we have just one, and that's Karen Ortman, who is an administrative professional at East Middle School who served for 18 years. And being at East a few times over the last handful of years, I know Karen was ever present in that building and will be missed. And so I want to congratulate her on her retirement. Congratulations, Karen.
Congratulations to the honorees, and thank you, Dr. Virgin and Director Ayers. Before we move on, I'd like to take a moment to announce a small change in our upcoming meeting agenda. Beginning with the work session on August 24th, the recognitions will be included in the work sessions in lieu of the regular board meetings. Next, we have the audience opportunity to address the board. Amy, do we have? Yeah, we do have some. Yeah. Thank you. This section of the agenda provides an opportunity for members of the community to address the school board. Speakers who wish to provide input to the school board must complete the sign-up sheet and return it to our district administrative assistant, Amy, on my right. Please note that you will need to complete a request form to be included on the speaker request list. When you are invited to the podium, please identify the subject or agenda item to which your comments pertain. Priority will be given to students and families with students currently enrolled in the district. The school board practice is not to engage in a discussion or debate with the speaker, but rather allow the speaker time to express their thoughts. Please present your comments in a respectful and professional manner. This evening, each speaker will be invited up to the podium to speak for 3 minutes. We have a number of requested speakers, so I ask that you keep your comments brief. Amy will help me keep track, or you have that timer? Or? Okay. So Dan will help me keep track of the time by holding up a red card at the 3-minute mark. Please end your comments when you see the red card or when I say thank you. If you have already shared your thoughts with the school board, please consider letting someone new address the board. If a community member shares a message similar to yours, please consider shortening your message or presenting as a group. First, are there any students? Looks like there are. Student representative. First one on the list is Soham Mahadalkar. Did I say that right? The last name was okay? Yeah. Okay. Welcome, Soham.
Okay. Good evening, members of the school board. My name is Soham Mahadalkar, and I am an incoming 9th grader at Wayzata High School. I am here to talk about student representatives on the school board. A family friend told me about today's discussion regarding a student representative on the school board and asked whether I would be interested in sharing what I thought of it. Now, I don't know much about how school boards work, but I do care about students having a voice, especially when the decisions that are being made affect us the most. So, when I heard about this idea, I felt like it was definitely worth supporting. I have a couple, I think a student representative would be helpful for a few reasons. First, students experience school every day, so we might sometimes see things differently than adults do. We see how policies and decisions affect classrooms, choice of activities, technology, and the overall school environment. Adults can ask students for feedbacks through surveys or meetings, but having a student regularly at the table creates an opportunity for the student voice to be part of the conversation from the get-go. This should help build trust and transparency with students. Second, I think that it would be a really great experience for the student representative as well. They would get to see how decisions are made, hear different opinions, learn how to speak up for others, and also how to disagree respectfully. These are all useful skills for college, work, and just life in general. I also think having a student involved with the school board might make it so that other students are more interested in getting involved in their schooling community. Government and community service can sometimes seem like things that only adults do, and students don't really play much of a part in. Having a student representative could show us that we don't have to wait until we're adults to contribute to something meaningful. Finally, I think it's important that the student representative has a real voice. The position shouldn't just be there so that the board can say that students were included. The student should feel comfortable bringing up concerns, asking questions, and sometimes just having a different opinion from the board altogether. If students feel as if their opinions are actually being heard and considered, I think that they would be more willing to participate and care what actually happens in their schools and community. In conclusion, even though I don't have much experience speaking on behalf of students, I think giving them a chance to share their perspective to the school board would be a great thing for both the students and the board. A student representative wouldn't have to make a vote or make the decisions, but their early involvement will hopefully lead to better decisions and smoother implementations of policy initiatives. Thank you for giving me the chance to share my opinion, and I hope the board will consider my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you, Soham. Next, we have Jaden Joseph.
All right. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Jaden Joseph, and I'm an incoming sophomore at Wayzata High School. I'm here today to testify on behalf of adding a student representative to this board, as through my personal experiences with the Minnesota Center for Youth Voices programs, I've experienced how student leadership and youth advocacy play such pivotal roles in the progression of our societies. I firmly believe that the inclusion of a student representative is very important to the future of the school board, as well as for the future of our district. A student representative would be able to provide insight from a student's perspective, further incorporating students' voices to the school board, while also providing students with valuable leadership experience, civic education, and a platform to influence real-world decisions that impact them and their peers' daily lives. See, every policy this board passes, whether it be about schedules, curriculum, discipline, phone rules, or even mental health support, primarily affects the students. Before making decisions, the school board likely bases these decisions off of secondhand information, either from staff, data, or parents. The information that is harder and more vital to obtain for these decisions in this room is what a decision actually feels like from the inside before it's finalized. A student representative doesn't replace or take away any of that. Rather, it adds the one perspective that exists only on the other side of the policy, the perspective of a student. This also isn't a new or untested idea. Minnesota law, specifically Minnesota Statutes Section 123B.09 Subdivision 1B states that a school board is quote-unquote encouraged to adapt a process to include student representation to advise the school board. On top of this, around 95 school boards across the state currently have at least one student representative within their school board. Minneapolis Public Schools, for example, a district right in this metro area, has 2 student representatives on their school board. By adding a student representative, Wayzata wouldn't be setting a precedent by incorporating a student representative. It'd be catching up to one that a lot of other districts around the state have already set. And the cost of adding a student representative is small next to what it buys. A student seat like this typically costs the board a chair and some meeting time. What it gains is a standing way to hear about a problem while it's still small, instead of after it's already spread through the halls and through group chats. Right now, the main way this board hears what a student thinks is secondhand, a parent email, a news story, or a complaint that's already boiled over. A permanent seat means you hear it directly and earlier. Now, as I close tonight, I want to end by humbly asking all of you here today to support this. Students aren't asking for a vote on every decision this board makes. We're asking for a seat at the table where and when those decisions get made. Thank you all for your time today.
Thank you, Jaden. Okay, next we have Ameya Chowdhury.
May I proceed? Good evening, board members. My name is Ameya Chowdhury, and I'm going to be a rising senior at the high school in just a few weeks here. Today, I am speaking before you to address the issue of student representation on the school board. Now, I have spent all 13 of my educational years at Wayzata, and I am beyond grateful for the wonderful education I've received. Aside from my education, I am extremely involved at school. I run 2 clubs. I'm a link leader, a peace leader, and I'm in the small fusion subcommittee established by student council. This means that I am impacted by school board decisions firsthand and see how other students are as well. The first point I'd like to make is that we desperately need a student representative. It is imperative that voices feel heard in such a large community in a district as large and as powerful as Wayzata's, and that the council is advised from a student perspective rather than just adults and administrators who see from the outside rather than experiencing impacts themselves. Now, since Wayzata's population is consistently growing and the community around us is changing, with more students being more open to advocacy and wanting to learn more and getting more involved due to the societal changes in the school and around us right now, it is imperative that the board addresses the topic of having a student representative, and I strongly urge the board to vote in favor of said topic. Now, students are affected by these decisions every single day. These policies and these decisions get made so regularly, but however, students are still not represented. Students are currently unable to even email the board, as when I attempted to email the board from my school account, it was blocked. Now, my second point is that most other top schools have a student representative on their school board. Like the gentleman who went before me said, over 95 schools in Minnesota already have a student representative on the board, and the impacts of this are extremely significant. Even legislation in the Minnesota School Board urged the board to make this decision in favor of having a student representative. Now, to address some concerns that the board may have about instating a student representative, the representative would likely have a non-voting rule as to not mess with the authority or administration policies of the board. Additionally, with a defined selection process and defined procedures, there would be limits to what the student representative may be able to do and limits to the authority as not to interfere with administration. Now, I would like to conclude by taking all these components into consideration and strongly urging you to adopt and instate a student representative into the board. Thank you.
Next, we have Rowan Haley.
Good evening, board members. I'm here to talk about student representatives. When policies impact student bodies, it is detrimental that students have the ability to voice their opinions and concerns with the board. Although great opportunities are available when students sign up for student council, the only thing they are primarily responsible for is decorating the school and choosing the theme for the dances. Real student voices are heard when students are allowed in the room where policy change happens, the boardroom. Students are always encouraged to be more civically engaged, and they're encouraged to be more involved in their communities. But yet, when given the opportunity, there can be a concern whether or not students can handle such responsibility. But by making space for students, you will see them rise to fill that gap. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowan. Next, we have Ankita Kumar.
Good evening. My name is Ankita Kumar, and I'm a recent alumni of the Wayzata School District. Today, I urge the board to vote in favor of incorporating a student representative position on the school board. Throughout my time at Wayzata High School, I have seen ample spaces for students to develop their voices and make decisions through school clubs like student council, but very little opportunity for them to actively shape policy decisions that the school board makes every week at these board meetings. A student representative position, one designed with fairness and in consideration of the precedents set by other school districts, can be an incredible way for our community to see that students are valued for the unique perspectives that they bring to educational policy. So far, 95 school districts across Minnesota have established a student representative position on their school boards, demonstrating that student representation is both practical and increasingly common across the state. By establishing this position, Wayzata can give students firsthand experience in civic leadership while ensuring that the people most directly affected by these educational policies have a seat at the table. To speak a little bit more anecdotally, many of you have seen me sit in this audience over the past year as I listened to all these board meetings and took notes. That was incredible, and it was an amazing opportunity for me and a lot of my peers in grades even younger than I at the time to understand what policies were being passed and what issues were being debated. And so for a student to sit up there, it not only tells them that they are respected and they're valued, but it also allows them to gain the valuable experience that'll help them build their careers moving forward. So I urge you to consider this, and just allow for the possibility for students to reach excellence. Thank you.
Thank you, Ankita. And we have one more speaker, Donglin Liang.
Good evening, everybody. My daughter just graduated from Wayzata High. First, I come here to really want to thank the district and the board and all the educators provide such a great learning environment and support. And I also attended a couple of meetings here. And actually, I think one of the meetings I attended actually talked about all the support the district provided to students, which is really good because actually my daughter benefited a lot from that because she has some special needs throughout high school. So that's why I'm so grateful about this district. And then everything is moving. Again, I don't know how many parents will come and thank you guys, but anyway, I know a lot of people have the same feeling as me. Luckily today we also have this topic about student representative on the agenda, which is great because actually my daughter Angela, she actually I think worked with Ajita. Yeah, actually kind of try to get that idea following it. She actually came here to meet with a few of you. Why she's interested in that? One, of course, she received a lot of support, and then she's really grateful for that. The other actually is because she talked to her brother. Her brother is in the same class as Dan, so she's so impressed with her generation can actually participate in influencing how the education can be done in this district. So I really can kind of resonate to that because I also organize a few activities around the districts like the Twin Cities Asian Fair. Every year we have more than 100 people from Wayzata High participate, leading different kind of things. So I have a very high confidence of our youth in this district. So we're not just producing people can actually contribute in the future, but actually they already shaping a lot of things in our community. So just listening to all these young people just speak, I really feel like we should actually get them involved. My daughter's idea basically is that really is two ways, right? One is that really she wants to be able to bring the what she hear from here back to talk to students so that they get better understanding of the support and also how much care the district provide to them. And that way, basically, she feels like might actually help the student be more collaborative in the classroom. Because again, she claims herself to be like a teacher's pet. She really cares about how the class get run in order to try to help the student. But again, she feels like if we can actually communicate more, the decision get them more involved, and then I think the student will be more appreciated. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Donglin. I'm sorry, I missed one. Samia Muhammad, I apologize for missing your name.
Yeah.
Thank you and welcome for coming here.
Good evening, Superintendent Virgin, members of the board, audience members. Tonight, I was actually brought as extra manpower by Ankita Kumar to share my personal experience with you as a previous student school board representative and address two concerns. The first concern that I know a lot of adults have when they think about giving students more responsibility is their time management. Now, as a student who is in a total of 5 extracurriculars at the same time as serving on the board, I was able to manage my time quite well. So was my other student school board representative when I served. At the same time, these policy and decision-making skills are really important for students who go to school. Something called cold cognition develops by the age of 16, as reported by the National Institute of Health in 2013. Cold cognition allows young people to make decisions not based on emotions, but based on logic. So naturally, if you were to have a junior or a senior as a student school board representative, not only would they be able to handle the responsibility, they would be able to handle the mental load. I also want to share with you what the experience brought to me as a student. I got to testify in the Minnesota legislature, which led me to testify in DC on topics that our school board were passionate about. At the same time,
I represented our communities. I visited the elementary schools and I reported back to the the school board members on what happened and what went wrong. What do these students need? Not only that, when it was time for discussions on different policy items on the agenda that night, me and my other school board representative were actually able to give input and sometimes change the minds of the people on the school board. As a student, obviously, I was a non-voting member. So having those conversations with the adults that literally govern the schools that we go to, it's incredibly important. So when a student is expected to behave in class, to put their phones away, they have to understand where it comes from. And the best way to do that is to have student representation helping not only make those decisions, but spread it to their communities, to the schools that they represent. So I think it's high time that school boards employ this all over the state, but it should be an important cause for you guys too, and I hope that you do vote in favor of establishing it. Thank you.
Thank you, Samia. I believe that's the end of the presentations. Thank you all for coming. Moving on to the administrative reports and recommendations. First, we have Superintendent's report. Dr. Virgin will provide a transition update, sharing reflections and highlights from his first month in the district. Dr. Virgin?
Well, I can't start without thanking our students for coming and sharing your comments tonight. We look forward to talking with you more. I know some of us have met before, but look forward to continuing that in many different ways of hearing your input into our system. As Chair Sahoni mentioned, I'm Rob Virgin. I'm superintendent of Wayzata Schools since July 1st, and today's August 10th. So we thought it would be a good idea at the July meeting. I don't think I provided much substance, just kind of a photo op with my little kids. But tonight to provide a little bit of an update mainly for the community, but as well as the board, of how have the first 5-6 weeks gone. And so there's a couple of topics within here. The first one is what I've done to learn the Wayzata context. The second is how we're building our leadership teams. The third is, as I've been building our leadership teams and working together on that and getting to know our context better, you might be wondering, what have I been noticing? And then the last is just some of the things that we're doing to prepare for the launch of the 26-27 school year. So I'll take those 4 topics in order, and then board members, if you have questions or comments at the end, please feel free to share those. First one is learning the Wayzata context. So there's a few different ways that I've been going about this, and some of this work started I was offered the position in early March, so I had a couple of months in the transition time. Some of this work started then and has really accelerated since officially starting the job in July. I have had a chance to meet individually with each of our lead principals, our strategy leadership team members, and our board members, and as well as, and some of those have been multiple times. I've also had a lot of conversations with kind of key community partners. So this would be, kind of the casual way I've been describing this is like people that you would find on a website, your police chief, your city managers, your mayors, other elected officials, that other districts that we might partner with, services that we have, like our financial advisors, legal services, folks in that capacity. From there, I asked primarily the school board as well as some other district people familiar with the district for a set of recommendations on who might be good for me to connect with that could provide just some texture, some depth to understand the district that I wasn't getting through kind of our formal type roles, or maybe just some addition to that would be a better way to say that, a little bit additional depth. And so we developed a list. I threw the number of 50 out there, and we are very close to that. I think we're at maybe about 40 some recommendations, but then some of those recommendations have others. So we're kind of getting into the 50, 60 plus conversation zone, where I asked of people that would be able to provide a perspective on our district. That could be former students, could be current students, could be parents, could be faith leaders in the community, could be business leaders, could be people who live in our community who choose a different option for their children or have chosen a different option. So kind of no rules to it, just people who could give a nice cross-section of our community members. I shared 5 questions with them in advance. I actually went back and forth on whether to share these because somebody right away was like, whoa, this makes it feel really formal. But I decided to keep sharing them because I really don't want anyone to come into the conversation thinking that there was any surprise to this. It wasn't meant to be overly formal, but it was meant to just kind of put all my cards on the table, so to speak. And really just two purposes I had as you look through these questions. One is there's some information I can pick up right away in the conversation. That's really helpful. The other, which is equally important, if not more important, was just to start a connection so that down the road, as the community members might interact with somebody or notice something that they think I should know about or that they think our team should know about, they would feel like that they know me well enough and have a trust in me that they could bring that back. The other part of that connection is there's only so much I can take in right now. I'm taking in a lot of information. I think we've got good systems for documenting that and then analyzing that, and that's something I enjoy doing and have a lot of training in. And there's only so much I can really truly absorb. So I'm hoping that I have that connection. So down the road in 6 weeks or 6 months or 6 years, I could say they were talking to me about that. That's an interesting topic that I'm more ready for that I can follow up with them on. Another ways I'm learning the context here is I've spent time with our academic performance data, other system level data like budgets and operational indicators, as well as the candidate profile that the board produced through the search process kind of midwinter last year. And then maybe my favorite data source is just walking around and bumping into people and seeing what they might have to share. So here's a few ways we do that. These are from the spring. I've made sure to get to every school building before school was out so I could have a chance to hear from students and staff while things were still in action in May. A second area of update for you is how are we building our cohesive leadership teams? Anyone who's studied or been part of leadership knows that any good leadership really requires a team to get things done, and that all of this is really a team sport. And so we've tried to prioritize time as our strategy leadership team to get to know each other this summer, get to know what our work is. We spent some time establishing our individual and collective purpose. We're trying not to rush into that, trying to make steady progress, just kind of next actionable step after another to come together around what we think our purpose is. Each department leader also provided both for me and their colleagues a report on where things have been recently, some successes, and some things that are on their mind as we look forward together. That was super helpful for me to hear from each member of the SLT. I think it was also helpful at times for our colleagues to hear from each other we're all have very distinct responsibilities, and those are lengthy, and just to pause and be able to hear from each other about where our synergy might be. A few of those members are here tonight, of course. Our board work is also a leadership team, and I've appreciated the way that the board has leaned into building our relationship for the long term here, of really investing in how do we invest in our own roles that we have as we find the synergy between governance and management, all toward delivering excellence for each and every student. We spent some time at a board retreat last week that was really viewed as an investment to me. I appreciated board members taking 4 hours for the meeting, plus all the time, the pre-work that you did to be ready for that, and to add an additional meeting in our summer months isn't going to be the only time I'll have that request, but I just want to say thank you for that time already. We also use that time to set the stage for the next chapter, as well as align our expectations and standards. Last week, we had our Leadership Council retreat. So this is our group of probably about 55 leaders across the district. That includes SLT, who lead all of our departments, plus kind of their direct reports, plus our school principals and associate principals. And this was a really fun day. We hosted it at the DSC. We really tried to invest in kind of the first and fourth bullet points, sub-bullets you see there, of strengthening our connections and interdependence as a team, as well as celebrating the start of a new school year. Something that's great about working in schools is we get new beginnings, and we get a chance to look at things fresh and to celebrate that. And I think it's important that we pause to do that, whether that's at graduation to celebrate the conclusion of a school year or to look ahead. I think it's important that we're intentional about that. We also spent some time aligning our vision and our culture and collective ownership, speaking about where are we and what do we aspire to. Spent a lot of time collecting input on from leaders about where are we, what do we think could be, what do we think should be continued, where do we see opportunities. We did that live in the moment of having people, post things on idea walls, turn things in confidentially through note cards, as well as through a follow-up survey. So a lot of opportunity to get voice in this space. And then, of course, to ground in our operational foundation and operational excellence of, you might recall when I interviewed with you in February and March, I would share things to the effect of, I want to make sure that no student or staff member has a different experience this next year or a lesser experience because I'm new. And part of that is making sure that our operations are just very tight and secure so that we're ready for the launch of a school year and that people can feel the normalcy. So those were some of the focus points of our Leadership Council retreat. Across all of those meetings, I try to include a little bit about who I am. And I won't go as deep with that tonight because as a board, we've had a chance to do that together. But just to give you a little bit of flavor of two things I highlight in there is, here's a picture from our July board meeting. There's Teddy, Rory, and Maisie. And I try to include a little bit about who I am because if for nothing else, we're going to spend a lot of time together. And we are in what I often refer to as the ultimate human business. And if people can't see the humanity in each other and need to see who we are as people, we're much more able to lead. And I was able to see the National Teacher of the Year speak a couple of years ago, probably 3 years ago. And I think this is true in both the positive and the negative sense. But one thing she would share when she was in conflict with, whether it was with colleagues or parents or students or whatever it might have been, is a line is, it's harder to hate up close. And I think it's easier to love up close. When you know where somebody comes from and knows their story, we can be much more effective together. So in all of our meetings, I try to share a bit about myself in terms of the importance of family and how I try to show up. And then the other is this idea of, we get to decide how we show up each day. In all of our lives, both personal and professional, we're not in control of how anyone else behaves other than ourselves. And we get to decide how we respond to the things that come our way. And that's a gift. And I try to ground everybody I get the chance to work with in that gratitude, because not everybody gets to make that choice. And we get the chance to decide how we show up in response to the things that come to us. In this type of work, there's going to be plenty of surprises. There are plenty of surprises literally every single day. And a lot of those were things that we didn't ask for. And we get to decide what we do with those and how we show up and how we turn those into opportunities for us to bring closer to realizing our mission. So those two ideas of humanity and gratitude are two things I've tried to include in each of our kind of kickoffs. The big reason for all that is I think it establishes trust. And along the way, all of our work is really based in trust. At the same time, beyond just sharing kind of those philosophical pieces, I'm trying to tee up for folks a little bit about, not in terms of like a training, but beyond rooted in family and gratitude and controlling what you can control, how do I actually approach education? What do I think as an educational leader? Like, what's at the core of that? And this is really introductory, but just high level of, I believe people deserve to realize, to know what's top of mind for me. And there's a handful of concepts that I'll very quickly go through here. The first one is, all of our work is rooted in student success. That anytime we're at any type of collaboration table, whether that's virtual, a meeting, asynchronous, we're developing something, it all should be rooted in student learning, student experience, ultimately students having success, which is that them being able to leave our system equipped with all the doors possible open to them. It's, not to make it just a really simple version of that each and every student can leave here and graduate on time and have any door that they want open to them be open. And that's where all of our work needs to ground. And to do that, we need to pay attention to what's happening in our classrooms. What we do at this table is really important, and I've tried to stress continuously the importance that I believe in our relationship. And I know we have a shared belief that though our relationship is vitally important to the district. The most important relationships are those between the students and the educators at the point of exchange. And our relationship helps that happen, and us paying attention to what's happening with our students and our educators is most important. With that, as we do that, we should have an idea of, is what we're doing working? Is what we're doing having the impact that we want? This one probably requires a little greater depth, and we can do that at another time for sure. But I included it here just so you know this is one of those kind of handful of ideas. The first one is focusing on what's happening in the classroom. Second is understanding our impact. And are we aware of why we're getting first off, are we aware of what results we are getting? And are we aware of why we're getting those? And that allows us, having an understanding of both of those allows us to be in a spot where we're driving outcomes. Third notion that I've talked with teams about is this idea of multiplying your impact. So the groups I've been able to meet with so far are really our leadership teams. And with leadership is kind of the great privilege, the blessing of being able to have a lot of impact. This image, I joked with Leadership Council last week. This was created at AI. I don't think it's great, but I think it kind of gets the point across that I was trying to, of that you as leaders, two things. One, you get to multiply your impact, but also your influence is everywhere. It's not just a top-down type influence, or I work with these three people, I influence them. Our influence is everywhere. It's how we show up in meetings. It's our verbals. It's our nonverbals. It's the things that we say that we give budget to. It's the things that we say are our goals, but it's also the events that we choose to go to or we choose not to go to. All of that is observed and is a responsibility that we have as leaders to own our impact and to really see that as what a gift I have to be able to have impact. The fourth here is that through our ability to multiply impact, if we're going to have any positive impact, it's going to be through our relationships. I mentioned we're in the ultimate human profession. This is really a relationship-based business. Is if we're to have impact that we want in the classroom and on the student success and experience, it's going to be through our relationships. And this is a framework that I use to describe what a high-performance relationship looks like in a workplace. And it's that combination of both high expectations and high care. And it's overly simplified. All relationships don't fall into just four tidy categories. But I think if you pause to reflect on a leader or a mentor or a teacher, a coach or a parent or somebody in your life, a boss, a supervisor, a colleague, somebody in your life that has had an high impact on your performance, that has helped you to get to even higher levels of success than you thought possible. There probably was, my guess is that there was this dual presence of high levels of care as well as high level of expectation. And you need to have both to drive performance. And then the fifth and final piece that I hope folks are taking home from that is all of that starts with belief. And our belief that we usually have used in this term and in this district and in other places too, of collective efficacy. That's really what this is do we believe that our actions make a difference? Do we believe that what we do has a positive medium or positive or negative or some sort of impact on the outcomes? And when we believe that, there's really no greater lever we can push than that we really got to believe that. So focusing on the student experience and student learning and student success, what's happening in the classroom, making sure that we have a good understanding of that and we're supporting that, understanding our impact, multiplying that through relationships and believing that we can make a difference are the themes that I'm trying to share in the spaces that I am. Lastly, what have I noticed so far? So I share out 4 themes, but before I share those, I always want to be really cautious to put this slide first as our strategic roadmap. That is our strategic roadmap that has been in place since 2023 and continues to be in place. So our mission, our vision, our core values, our strategic directions, all firmly in place. As I'm listening to where are the things for us to continue, what are the things to protect, what might we want to invest in, it's through that lens. It's through in service to these strategic directions and to the strategic roadmap. There's been 4 themes that come up frequently or kind of have stuck out to me across all those conversations and data points. Of course, there's much more. But the 4 themes that have really are standing out to me are that, first off, we're grounded in our core purpose of ensuring student learning and experience. And there's a lot to be proud of there, and there's a lot that we want to continue to focus on and continue to get closer and closer to each and every, and for excellence for each and every, and a reminder of that is our core purpose. And remember, that's what we want to make sure we protect. Another is around our organizational coherence and connected autonomy of making sure all of our systems, our structures, our meetings, our report patterns, goal setting, all of that aligns and contributes to student learning and experience. A third area of theme of that I think people have really wanted me to hear and that I've noticed in other data points is to continue to strengthen our community trust, strategic partnerships, and belonging. That the community trust that we have is so vital to our historic success, and to make sure that continues, as well as keeping this eye on long-range stewardship in our facilities and our programs and our safety, of making sure that we're really looking at the long horizon as well. As I look at these themes, I'm hearing those 3 horizons that I try to keep in mind with every decision of, are we making sure that we're making the decisions that best serve the students in front of us today, that set us up, the district, to make continued good decisions 5 years from now, and that will give employers in the world the graduates that they need 20 years from now? Are we attending to those? And as I've observed here the last several weeks and months, these 4 themes really hit all 3 of those horizons to me, of connecting with our trust, having the organization align to our core purpose of students, and then holding the long range in mind as well. As we prepare to launch the year, I mentioned the focus on operational excellence. We've got amazing systems in place for that, from buildings and grounds and facilities and technology and food service and more. I had a chance to visit with a lot of our buildings and grounds team last week. They had their kind of kickoff meeting to start the year, and we're able to join them for that lunch. We have our bus drivers coming together for something similar this Wednesday. Be able to join them for that. Paying constant attention to enrollment and hiring, and making sure that we have the right amount of people in our classrooms, and paying attention to enrollment as it continues to come in. This time of year changes by the day, but that continues to be in good order. Also investing in our instructional excellence and making sure that we continue that focus on the classroom. We have our Building Instructional Leadership Team Institute tomorrow and Wednesday at the high school. All of our new teachers have their welcome week starting next week on Monday, and then our full welcome back week is the week of the 24th. So being in space with all of our teams there, and our teams have great things designed, and then modeling and continuing the message of investing in relationships as we go. So many of you at the kindergarten event last week, which was really just a great example of a relationships-based community, and having all of our district programs and all of our elementary principals and their teams there was pretty special to see our families come through and be able to connect with them in that way. So there's a couple of pictures from some of the community ed. Got talked into some food tasting, as well as our kindergarten night the other night. Just fun stuff that we've been able to do around the community just in the last couple of weeks. And all that is around our theme for the year that we'll have in our all-staff welcome back event on Wednesday the 26th, which you're all invited to, and we'll share more information on that. That'll be at Wayzata High School, and our theme there is Building What's Next Together. So thank you, and thank you to our community. I think I've tried to extend this when possible, but I think I was a little quick on that tonight, of just thank you to everyone for the warm welcome that you've given me, and to help me be successful for the year ahead for our students and staff. So with that, if there's any questions or comments, I'm happy to take them, but thank you for the time.
Thank you, Dr. Virgin, for that quick update. Any questions, comments? Yeah, Alicia.
I would just like to say, I mean, you hit the ground running. You're sprinting, I feel like, and you're doing amazing things. It's fun to be at a block party or just out in the community in the last month and a half and have people approach me and say they've had an opportunity to speak to you, they've seen you, their child crossed you in the hallway somewhere, and I think that's amazing. You were clearly working before you even were officially working for us. You've been really, really busy, and I appreciate that that is something that you are putting your time and effort towards. So I think the only concern I've heard is make sure you're taking water breaks and maybe getting a nap in every once in a while. But no, thank you. I think you've really embraced our community, and I'm only hearing great things. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob. I want to recognize your thoughtful approach. And that thoughtful approach was not just to learn, but how to build those strong and collaborative, trusted relationships. That was very clearly exhibited from first time we spoke. And since then, all the meetings that we have attended, it comes across very strongly that your first goal is to make sure we work collaboratively, we have that trusted relationship. And again, as you said, we may not agree on everything, but how do we come together, look at what is the student outcome and how do we get there? That is most important. So again, kudos to you. It comes across very clearly in every conversation, every interactions that we are having with you. You have kept us in the loop throughout the transition process. But again, it wasn't so much that, hey, this is what I'm doing and I'm just sending you an update. It was very thoughtful, meaningful, and we could very clearly see, so what? So you are meeting with all of community members, but so what? And then you articulated that, hey, I learned these and so things. Does that make sense? Like, what do you guys think? So in each of those milestones, you obviously took us with you, and especially the board retreat was really a great initiative for all of us to connect. Again, you showed willingness, as Alicia said. I think we got nervous that, hey, there are only 24 hours, so you need to manage the work-life balance. So I hope you do that. But no, you're really off to a great start. I mean, we are really happy to have you here and looking forward to working with you. So thank you for all your help and support so far.
Thank you. Okay. Go ahead.
I just want to uplift the fact that every time you are approaching us, you approach us with a framework, and I'm really appreciative of that because it helps me to understand how you're thinking and how to communicate out. So that's very helpful, and I think it's helpful for others to see that as well. Thank you for all the time that you've invested with us. I think it's critically important in this we only got one first year, right? And so you're doing a phenomenal job of really reaching out and investing time with all of us to build all of those relationships. I'm appreciative of that. And just keep it going. Thanks for all the updates.
Thank you. Okay, so Paras said 24 hours. I have a feeling you have more than 24 hours in your day. Either your watch must be slow or your cell phone must show a slower time, but I don't know how you find so much time for so many things. From the presentations, and like Heidi said, your frameworks are just, I'm very impressed with them. I think that high performance, high care framework is the first time I'm seeing it from you. And I agree very strongly that to be a good high performance school, we can also have high care. And I think that's what we should strive for. But thank you for sharing that. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you. All right, moving on to administrative reports and recommendations. We are in that administration recommendations and reports. There are no teaching and learning reports this evening. And the next one is finance and operations. And Executive Director Trevor Peterson will seek a resolution relating to general obligation school building bonds, Series 2026B. Trevor?
Good evening, Chair Sahoni, members of the board, Dr. Version. Presenting me with this evening is Matthew Hammer from Ellers, our municipal advisor. Matthew is a man that probably doesn't need any more introductions at this table. He's been here quite a while for the last couple years. But tonight we are bringing forth a resolution authorizing the issuance and awarding the sale of $100 million of general obligation school building bonds, which is Series 2026B. This bond issue represents the first in a series of multiple bond issues over the next few years as part of the voter-approved referendum back in April. We apologize for not allowing the board to have a huge runway to look at this, but we did sell the bonds competitively this morning at 9:30, so the final results were not available until shortly after that, so we do apologize for that. It was just a timing thing. On Wednesday of last week, we did receive an updated credit opinion from Moody's Investor Service, and we are once again thrilled to report that our district has maintained our AAA credit rating status, so kudos to everyone. And to continue with the great news, we are once again pleased with the bond sale results this morning. So now I'll turn it over to Matthew to talk a little bit more about that.
Thank you, Trevor. Chair Sahoni, members of the board, Dr. Virgin Manhammer, District's financial advisor. We're here to share the bid results we received this morning for phase one of the projects that were authorized by voters back in April. And we're really off to a good start. I always say when we're going through this process is a journey, and a good initial sale is always a good way to start. So we ended up with 10 bids this morning. The low bidder was JP Morgan. The cover bid was Raymond James. The spread was only 10 basis points. So if you looked at the first three bids, we were less than 1% in the spread, but between the three low bidders, which it really gives us an indication that we're at market today, and we got market rates when we were out in the market. If you go back to what we were estimating in the pre-sale report back in June, we had a 4.41 or a 4.41% interest rate estimated. We ended up receiving a true interest cost this morning of 4.21%, so 20 basis points under. And we were carrying an average interest rate during the pre-election estimates of 4.75. So that gives you a little context of where we're starting from a rate perspective. We also did receive a reoffering premium. And if you look at that, we talked a little bit about this during the pre-sale estimates, but we're depositing $101,800,000 to the construction fund. That's a result of the premium bid that we received in the sale. So we're depositing more than the par amount, but that true interest cost that we're accessing that money for is 4.21%. And that's kind of important to the overall project right now as we're getting things started. The district, as Trevor said, did go through our credit rating process. You were affirmed AAA stable. You can't do any better. You can't have a positive outlook when you're a AAA. So that's a really good place to be from a rating perspective. And it is really an important signal that Moody's is putting to the markets that this district's in is a very strong financial position as they look forward. You'll also see there's a second rating in the sale day report. That's a credit enhanced rating. And really what that is think of it as insurance to bondholders. So the state of Minnesota, through a credit enhancement in Minnesota, provides a credit enhancement as part of the bond sale. And that in essence says that if the district for some reason over the life of the bonds couldn't make the payment, bondholders would get paid. So that's an appropriation. And really for school districts in Minnesota, that allows school districts to access lower rates because think of it like bond insurance. So it's an important program. In your guys, you have a AAA rating. That state credit program rating gets one notch underneath the straight credit enhanced rating. So overall, think of that as insurance, and it's an important piece of the overall profile for school districts as they go out to market to solicit bids. These do have a call date. So if you look at the coupon rates that we received as part of the sale, there's likely a possibility when we get to that call date, we'll be able to be in a position to potentially refinance these. So the call date on the bonds is February 1 of 34, and any callable or any maturity after 2035 and beyond. So that's the call provision. That's the what the market is really dictating. We have an 8-year call, which is typical right now when we go out to market, but an important piece as we manage the whole profile and monitor the district's outstanding debt as we move forward as part of the long-term plan of the school district. So with that, I can answer any questions folks have about the sale this morning. We're really pleased with the results, and as I said, this is phase one. We have right now, based on the plan and the draw schedule, anticipated cash flow needs. There's 3 additional sales that'll happen in 28, 29, and 30. But that's all going to be driven off of the actual need for cash as we move through the multi-year process here for the construction projects of the school district.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Trevor. Any questions or comments? Yeah, no.
I'll just briefly share. It's really good to see the AAA credit rating re-upped. I'm glad you guys got a good interest rate, and it's really exciting to see these dollars be put to use.
I just want to congratulate the entire district on having a AAA bond rating again. It is not just to say that we have a triple bond rating, right? Having a AAA bond rating allows us to get better interest rates, as we see today, allows us to be able to do more for our retirees, for our teachers, and inevitably for our students. And so this is really exciting news. We want to keep it there as long as we can. And so congratulations to the district. It doesn't happen just at the admin building. This happens with everyday decisions that everyone makes. So congratulations.
I think if I could maybe add on a little bit too, Matthew mentioned about the stable outlook. So this outlook is new for our district. That is triggered when a district has outstanding debt that exceeds $250 million. So this will put us over that. So prior to this issuance, we were under that, which means there was no outlook attached. But now that we're over that, you either have a positive, stable, or negative outlook. So again, as Matt said, with the stable outlook and the AAA rating there, you're not going to get a positive outlook when you can't go any higher. So right where we want to be.
Okay. I have a few questions on the sale day report, and most of them on slide 2. Just for my understanding, nothing that I'm concerned about or worried about, but just for my understanding, some of these things I have no idea what they mean. So on slide 2, what is reoffering premium?
Yeah, so that's when bondholders put bids in, you end up with what we call a true interest cost. And the reoffering premium is the cash, in essence, that the underwriter is providing the district for a higher interest rate or coupon rate when they are purchasing that in the secondary market. So the reoffering premium net the discount is how we get to less the cost of issuance is how we get to the deposit to the construction fund. And that deposit to the construction fund is $101,800,000. So you're actually getting more than the par amount, but your borrowing rate is 4.21%, right? So they're giving you extra cash, but your borrowing for that cash is still only 4.21%.
Right. So reoffering premium is something we get instead of we paying anybody.
That's going directly in your construction account and is within. You have authority to issue $496 million, right, in total and par, but that reoffering amount also is included, and that's cash that goes into your construction fund for construction projects.
What does true interest cost really mean? What is true interest cost?
Yeah, so that's the combination of what I just said, right? So the reoffering premium net the discount and what your borrowing cost is for all those factors. So when you look at that true interest cost, the low bidder provided the net reoffering plus discount at the lowest cost to the district.
Okay. All right, and then what does the cost of issuance include? You have a cost of insurance.
So that includes our fees, it includes Dorsey's fees, it includes rating fees, includes fees for the county. So that's all the cost of issuance for issuing the debt.
So after paying that, we still have $101,800,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And So why is the difference? I think you might have mentioned that, but I don't know if I understood what you said. Why is there a difference in rating of AAA and AA1? What's the difference?
Yes.
Both by Moody's.
Yes, the district's underlying rating is a AAA. That's the rating that the district holds, and you as a municipality hold to the market. The credit enhancement rating is the state's program rating, and that is notched by Moody's, right? One notch compared to the district state's rating, who's AAA. And really think of that like bond insurance, right? So that credit program for school districts across the state of Minnesota, districts access that so they can access the markets at a lower borrowing rate when they go to the market, because bondholders, when they hold debt from a Minnesota school district, are guaranteed to get paid in essence. If the school district can't pay over the period of the bonds, the state will make the payment on their behalf. So that program allows school district to get a little bit of benefit, right, from a rate perspective, because there's that extra insurance when they go out to the market.
I'm sorry, you want to say something else or?
No.
Okay, have we ever had the same rating for both, AAA on both?
Typically, the rating, or Moody's notches that one, so they won't be the same ever, because the state of Minnesota holds a AAA, and the program rating is automatically notched by Moody's one rating.
Okay, and then the final question on slide 10, the fund balance is referred to as a % of revenue, and so is the cash, was it cash reserve or something to do with cash as a % of revenue. From what I remember or understand, fund balance is typically a % of operating expenses.
You are correct. It usually is. Moody's is a nationwide investing service, though. So one of the metrics they use is percentage as of revenue instead of expenditures. So that's just their benchmark that they use to compare us to provide a credit rating based on their matrix system that they use for this. So they do look at revenues as opposed to expenditures. That does impact. It does have the ability to possibly impact that based on however a year may end up. In our case, we've been fortunate to have revenues over expenditures, which is great for a fund balance, but then that would lower this percentage because it's a higher amount that they're referring it to than it might be for expenditure. So it is something as we move forward with multiple bond issuances that we as a district will want to monitor and need to monitor, and it likely won't have us, making drastic changes to do anything differently, but it certainly could play a factor as our debt threshold continues to increase too. So we might want to make sure this is one of those benchmarks that we pay closer attention to.
Okay, so learn something new every day. Thank you. I should have read the recommended action first before we went into discussion. I apologize, but I'm going to read the recommended action is to approve the resolution relating to general obligation school building bonds series 2026B, authorizing issuance, awarding sale, prescribing the form and details, and providing for the payment thereof. Is there a motion?
I so move.
Second. Moved and seconded. I'm going to ask if there is a discussion now. Yeah. You already did that. Okay. So thank you, everyone. This is a roll call vote then.
Colleagues, Dan Ginestra votes yes. Alicia Little?
Yes.
Paris Bindi?
Yes.
Sheila Pryor is absent. Heidi Cater?
Yes.
Valentina Ayers?
Yes.
Milan Sahoni?
Yes, the motion carries. Thank you so much, Dan. All right, and thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah, thank you so much. Talk to everybody soon. Have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, there are no HR reports this evening, and the next item on the agenda is other board action, and I will seek a resolution for a student rep on the school board. So I'm just going to read something very quickly here if I can. So at tonight's meeting, the board is being asked to consider approving moving forward with exploring the establishment of student representatives on the school board. This topic was brought forward for board consideration, and in September 2025, the board held a work session dedicated to this topic. During that work session, board members heard perspectives from MSBA regarding student representation, as well as from Hopkins School Board member and a current student representative serving on the Hopkins School Board. The discussion provided an opportunity to learn about the potential benefits of student representation, including providing the board with a student perspective on district-wide issues, strengthening communication between students and the board, and creating opportunities for civic engagement and leadership development. Following that work session, the board attention was focused on two significant district priorities: the superintendent search and the referendum process. Tonight represents the next step in that conversation. The action before the board tonight is not adoption of a final policy. Rather, it is to determine whether the board wishes to move forward with the concept and direct the development of a policy and implementation framework for future board consideration. If there are questions, concerns, or implementation considerations, those can be discussed during board discussion following the motion. So the recommended action is to approve moving forward with exploring the establishment of student representatives to the school board and direct an ad hoc committee in collaboration with administration to develop a proposed policy and implementation framework for future board consideration. Is there a motion?
Yeah, motion.
Paras moves? Yes. Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. We can begin discussion if you have any questions or comments.
Only question I have is, what would be the timeline for the ad hoc committee to come back with the recommendation or approach?
Oh, to come back with the recommendation, I do not have a firm timeline, but I would like to have that ad hoc committee set in place in the next few days, if possible. And then they can come back and say, well, this is what we estimate the timeline to be. Because I cannot speak for the committee itself right now. But yeah, some work will obviously be required.
Okay.
In collaboration with the administration.
Okay. And assuming we move forward, is there any timing we need to think about when the student representative can be on the board, or student representative can join the board at any time during the year?
I would, yeah. Good question, very good question, actually. I think I would leave that up to the committee. I think from here on, if this proposal is approved, then I think this ad hoc committee will do the bulk of the effort and bring that back to the board.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to clarify. My understanding is as if right now we're just making this, instead of actually going through motions and making plans and then finding out that actually, let's say that majority doesn't want to, we're just checking the temperature, do we want, and then making plan, correct?
This proposal, this motion actually includes that. So I'm just giving an example. Let's say I don't want a student representative on the board at all. Right, and then so the ad hoc committee policy and all that doesn't matter. I will just say no.
So that's why I'm saying we are more finding out what is the temperature, and then going.
Right,
makes sense.
If this motion passes, the assumption will be that the majority of the board and eventually the board wants a student representative on the board, but only under the condition that the policy that is proposed is approved. Without that, we cannot have a student representative.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about the idea of increasing student voice. I think we saw some really interesting things. Actually, Dr. Virgin, when we were hiring you, the high school and HR spent a lot of time with students asking what they were looking for in a leader, and we got some really interesting results out of that. And so I'm excited to hear more and more from students. And I know that we've got pathways now. In my opinion, I think we can boost them. And so I think there are different ways that we can do that. I'm thinking about this. So that's one piece, right? Like I'm really excited about student voice and let's go. The other piece of it to me is how do we do this as a board? And I am wavering here, right? Because like, I don't know that starting an ad hoc committee at the start of the year is the right timing to do such a thing. I want to do, so as Dr. Virgin was talking about our board retreat, we were talking about a whole lot of strategy around implementation of plans moving forward. And it feels to me like adding an ad hoc committee right now without having a bigger conversation around our other committees, it just feels out of cadence to me. And so my recommendation is actually that we wait until our organizational work session in December to keep with our normal cadence, get all of our committees in place, including ad hocs, right? So we have committees of the board, and then we have ad hoc committees, and we have all of our appointments and whatnot. So I would say we do that work, do it together, have a bigger conversation around how to navigate all of that, because committees, as we know, take a lot of time and take a lot of effort. And so I just want to make sure that we have clarity on all those pieces. And then it would be just like all of our other committees, we assign board members to certain committees, then we move towards approval of that in January at our organizational meeting, and then we start any work around that at that point. So I don't feel like necessarily, and we did this, like we've had other items, like when we were thinking about the Pledge of Allegiance, we had other items like that where we did it and approved it in January. So it feels like that might be a better cadence than kind of jumping this right now.
Anyone want to comment on that? Or?
Yeah, I'm trying to get my thoughts all straight here. So I guess, did I hear you say you would want to create the ad hoc in the next couple of days?
As soon as possible, yes.
Okay. I guess my only hesitation with that is this is something I'm very passionate about and I'm very excited about, like full stop. Since this was first brought to my attention when we were planning this meeting, I've been doing as much research as possible, and there's so much out there. There's so many ways to go about this. Maybe it's the educator in me. Maybe it's wanting to just be really thoughtful and make sure, actually one of the students that spoke said setting a precedent. And that was something that I think I brought up as a Wayzata school board and as a district. I want to make sure if we do this, we do it right and we don't jump into it. And then maybe after a few months or after a year go, oh gosh, I wish we would have thought about this. I would love to be a part of a committee. But to me, a turnaround time of saying in the next couple of days, especially in lieu of just all the changes that are occurring, we're starting with the school year, feels sort of abrupt. And so I would also say that to me, timing-wise and sequence-wise, waiting, using some of this timeline to give all of us an opportunity, because I don't know who else on this board wants to. Maybe all of us want to be a part of this new committee, but we could all take some time to do some research and get a better handle on, what the districts that are currently implementing this are doing, what would fit well, talk to our district staff. I know some of you have had some of those conversations. I have not, because I am new enough, even though I've been trying to, I did see the Hopkins presentation back in September, but I don't know. I personally feel like I want to make sure we do this really thoughtfully and really strategically and make sure leadership at the schools, from our leadership team, as a board, we all feel like we can put our hands around this and dive in as a really great mentorship program for whatever student or students we decide to move forward with. So I'm not saying no to moving forward with a plan, but I also feel like I would want to be a little more clear on what the expectations and timing of this are.
Okay. You want to say something then?
Yeah, I'll go ahead now. Thanks so much. This has, I think, been a long time coming. And it's something I've been excited to hear just day in and day out, all the conversations we have with students. Every year we're fortunate to join student council for bagels with the board. It's a great occasion, and the one thing they tell us every year is we want to step up, we want to get more involved, we want to hone our leadership abilities to be the best version of ourselves. And to me, that's what excellence for each and every student means. So I am very excited to support this. I think that we will have ample time to get it done. And really the purpose of tonight is taking the board's temperature, as a previous speaker shared, and making sure we do this in a deliberative manner over the next few weeks. There's just so much potential that this idea has. And I think it's good that we're recognizing that as a school board, We have the same high expectations of ourselves as we do of our students. We are constantly self-improving. We are constantly trying to put our best work forward. So I'm very excited to be voting yes tonight, and I can't wait to mentor the next group of students and let them into our doors to see how we make decisions in Wayzata schools.
Okay. I'm going to respond to Heidi's comment about ad hoc committee. So the ad hoc by itself, it means something you put in place when there is no other committee that will be able to do it. The thought about having the policy committee do this was brought up at the agenda planning meeting, and it looked like they are overwhelmed with a lot of stuff. So we did not want to impose on the policy committee when they didn't really have time. Between now and the org work session, another 6 months. After that, we put a committee in place, another 2 to 3 months before they are in place. That's another 8 to 9 months. We have already waited. I remember how much time it took us to have the board members' visits to buildings being approved. Took a long time. I do not want to end up, and I don't think we should end up postponing this or dragging this. Now, whether the ad hoc committee will be able to do that quickly or not, I cannot say. But putting that in place, I think, is really important. Put that in place right now, because we have all the information. We have seen students come and talk. We have seen community members send us emails, requesting that we do this. And one thing that I would say, if somebody asks me, what is your biggest reason why you want a student representative on the board? And this is my response. Always will be. Students are our biggest stakeholders, right? And so if we are not listening to the students as far as what they would like, what their difficulties are, what they're going through, then we are not really listening to the stakeholders. The more time we spend, the more we are dragging our feet, and more, the longer it will take. And then this year will go, and this year students will not be able to benefit from any of that. So I think we should not, again, every board member can decide for themselves. I don't think we should drag this too long. Yeah, Parag.
So thank you, Milind. That was going to be my question, because I was going to ask, is there any way policy committee can take this on? But again, you clarified there is already enough on the plate. That being said, again, ad hoc committees, I feel, again, this is not meant to be a longer term committee. This is to assess, put the protocols in place, work with, Rob, you and your, leadership team, and put that framework together. So I am supportive. I think we should get started. Now, to Alicia's point, it's not going to be in 2 days. I think that's unrealistic. So even if we pull the meeting in 2 days, we're not going to have framework in 2 weeks. But I think we should get started now. And at least my recommendation would be not to wait until December or January, because again, it's just going to get dragged on. Again, it's a short-term committee just to put the framework together. I also don't think we're going to get it right the first time. Every school district is different. We will iterate. So once we put it in place, I think the ad hoc committee also needs to look at, just like any other policy we revise every year, how do we revise that policy, right? So there will be some fine-tuning that will come up eventually. So again, I don't expect this to be well-oiled machine on day one, but I think given the interest, given the opportunity, we need to act quick and at least see how that framework looks like. So I'm supportive of moving forward. I'm supportive of moving forward now. And again, we just have to figure out who's on that ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
Just a couple of comments, actually. So maybe one belief, one commitment, and one request. First belief, share the belief that sounds like we have across the table of, not just our commitment to student excellence, but like students having agency and voice in their experience is a good thing. I think it's good for schools, and it's good for systems, and it's good for the individuals that are a part of that. So I think just want to name that belief. And Ben tried to, I don't want to call myself a champion, tried to be a champion for student voice at different phases throughout my career, and have a lot of experience with this. And with that, I've learned a lot about there is a lot of work to do in the how, and to really try to hone that. So that's my belief. My commitment would be, my understanding of tonight is that what you're voting for, though it could be implied in different ways, but at the end of the day, the action that would result from tonight is the establishment of an ad hoc committee that would explore this and try to learn more about this. So my commitment is, if you voted not to have, I'll say it the other way first. If you voted to have an ad hoc committee, my commitment would be is, I'm going to do everything on my role, my team's role, to make sure that ad hoc committee is as successful as possible. If you voted not to have an ad hoc committee, my belief still stands. We're still going to be really investing in student voice and student leadership across this district. So that's just kind of, I'm good either way, good either way, moving forward with that direction. The request, the one request I'd have is, if this committee does convene, my request would be to have a wide enough lens that you would capture, maybe not every single, maybe that's too high of a bar, but a good chunk of the kind of quote unquote whys, WHYS, or the reasons that the students brought forward tonight, because I'd have to play those back, but I was trying to take notes. And some of those I think would be addressed by having one member or two members or three members. I know the committee's going to sort that out. But some of them wouldn't. And so is this an opportunity to have a wide enough lens that we're not just kind of smack dab on this, and we're also looking at how do we have student voice benefit kids and benefit the system? And could the committee explore that? Is it interacting with the committees of the board? Is it interacting with our strategic roadmap? Is it interacting with me? Is it those are just off the top of my head. So belief is there. My commitment is, you're going to see the best of our team regardless of your decision tonight. And the request would be just, let's have a wide enough lens that we can really get to the root causes that we're trying to get to.
Yeah, I agree with you on that totally. I think we ought to also remember that it's important not just to have a body at the end of this table in a chair. We want it to be very effective. And for that, the ad hoc committee can be very useful. They can define the role. They can define the selection process, selection criteria, training, all those things, right? All that would, in my mind, would form a part of the policy which we will implement. And if the board, when we come back, the policy from the ad hoc committee, when we come back, and the board says, well, this has a lot of holes, I'm not going to approve it, so be it, right? So that unless we try, unless we do something, we won't know. And pushing it down the road, January, December, January, February, I think is not a good idea. Okay, that's again, my thought, my opinion. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Valentina.
I don't understand what's going to change in December. In December, I'm going to say there is going to be holidays and we're going to be busy. We will find always something to do. As if right now we're just making decision. I'm hoping it's not going to be rushed. I, for example, I'm going to be asking some questions too. But at the same time, at this point, to be honest, when I was looking for papers, thank you, Ankita, you gave paperwork, and MSBA already has some framework, already has some explanation. And I think that one of the reasons why we are going to conferences, we hopefully, many of us already built some relationship with our school board members, with of our school districts, and we can ask what was their experience, what did they like? I mean, if they have at their board table, and what kind of policy do they have? What did they like? What did they learn? What did they, what they would suggest to add? And then hopefully together we can come up with, but waiting, I don't know what is magical going to happen in December. waiting till December is not going to change anything. And for example, when I saw, and I'm going to bring again Ankita at the graduation ceremony close to the end, that thought crossed my mind. Wow, another year passed and she graduated. She did not see the results. How did we, are we for it or not? I highly suggest not to sit and wait. At this point, we're just making decision, do we want or not? Then we need to think through, how do we want it to happen so that it is thoughtful? Then we can start working.
Yeah. I just want to add one real quick comment, especially because of the numbers that came from the students. Christy Peterson, who is the president of MSBA, published an editorial in the latest MSBA journal, July, August, and she had an editorial on this same topic, why it is so important to have a student representative. And she disclosed that it is 135 school districts now that have student representatives. So 95 last year. I remember MSBA sharing 95 last year, so 40 more have added in the last 1 year. So, yes, yeah, Paras. Oh,
so
Heidi, sorry.
So I just want to clarify for my board colleagues, it is never my desire to kick the can down the road. I'm not that girl. I don't do that. I just want to make that very clear. I believe very firmly in doing work intentionally and thoughtfully and strategically. And at this board table, if we are not the ones who have 10-year, 20-year vision, nobody else is going to do that. This is our role. Our role is not to run quickly. Our role is to be very strategic and visionary. And I want this to be something that lasts. I want it to be something that sticks. And so if we're going to do this right, we've got to do it right. And the thing that would change between now and December is not our belief, like Dr. Virgin said, that we all want to see more student voice and an enhanced agency of our students. That is something that is collectively here. I'm hearing it from every single one of us. And I know that our administrators want that, and I know that our teachers want that. So we're all on the same page there. What would change is the strategic conversation and the strategic planning to allow it to stick. And I think that that is something that's worth considering every single time that we have a great idea. The other thing is, as I look at this recommendation, I'm wondering, I don't think it's a clear recommendation in that it's not so Dr. Virgin you mentioned a wider lens, and I was also taking notes as our students were speaking, and I would like to widen the lens for this. I want to raise us up a level from just a student representative. That could be a part of it, but I want to raise us up to student voice, student agency, student representation. So it's not just about being at the board table, but it's wider than that. So if we're open to that, I would be happy to recommend just a quick change to the verbiage on a recommended action that could take us there, that would allow Dr. Virgin and his team to come back to us with a recommendation on how to do that properly, right? Because our lane is governance. So we can say what our hope and dream is, and then he's going to go off and take that and create a plan for us to take a look at together. So that would be another pathway that we could take in this moment.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Go ahead. Yes, please.
Heidi, if you wouldn't mind, just please sharing. My understanding is that you intend to move an amendment. Is that your intent?
I'd like to continue the discussion. Okay. And then if I feel like there's something there, then yeah, I can help with the verbiage. Pretty good with the words.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was curious just if you would like to move an amendment, just the specifics of your language. But if there are other items that you'd like to share, Heidi, I think that would be welcome as well.
Before that, can I just say one thing about strategic direction and all that? That's why I think we will have a policy. A policy is a long-term document that is clear, concise, and that policy, if it is not changed, if it stays around, 25, 30 years from now, maybe none of us will be on this board, but that board will have a framework to put a student representative at the table. So that's precisely why we need a policy. Out of 135 districts that have student representatives, I know of only 3 districts that have policies. There might be more, but I don't think there are all 135 have policies. I think that's probably asking for trouble, because some board members may change next year, a few years from now. Somebody else might come and they might want something else from the student representative, and it becomes kind of random. So that is what the policy does, and that's where the strategy lies. As far as your amendment, you talk about student representative being the student voice. That is the purpose of the student representative. That is a result of the student representative. That will be a student voice. And there are a couple of other things you mentioned. I forget what those were. What else would you add to the amendment? I'm just trying to figure out.
I would rephrase it to say student voice, student representation, and student agency.
Student agency, can you explain that a little bit, what that means?
Actually, I would take that out. I would take that out. Let's stick to voice and representation.
Okay.
And I think the policy, so in the effort of not getting into debate, but truly deliberating at the board table, I want to stick to that. But I think that the policy, I think we're aligned. I think that a policy could be a part of the overall strategy around this. But again, I think we need to level up. We need to take this up a level. We need to be in the balcony and really look down and see out on the horizon a little bit further than just creating the policy. Because I think there's more to student voice than we may be seeing right now. And I want to take the time to allow Dr. Virgin and his team to think that through a little bit more widely.
This is a board matter.
Per his
I'm being
request.
very, very honest here. This is a board matter. This is a student representative on the board, a governance issue. We do want help from the administration, without a doubt. There is no doubt. But I think this decision and this committee will be from the board. And the board committee members, ad hoc committee members I would like them to decide.
To jump in the conversation again, unless others are
Yeah.
speaking. Heidi, if you wouldn't mind, the recommended action, if you wouldn't mind just sharing which wording you'd like change, just so we're all looking at the same thing. So if you wanted to read it off and then just say what wording you would like factored into your amendment, I think that would be very helpful.
So I would move to,
And does everybody, if I may, does everybody have the recommended action language in front of them? I just want to make sure you can look on with me. Does everybody have it? Okay, good. All right, so if you wouldn't mind, Heidi.
yep. So I would move to the following wording for a recommended action. It would be, in collaboration with administration, develop a proposed framework around implementation for future board consideration of increased student voice and representation.
All right, that's
You
appreciated.
get it down, right?
Yeah.
Can you read that again one more time?
No, I think we'll have to connect to fine tune our language here. It's helpful for me to have that as I'm collecting a roll call vote.
So that motion is on the table.
Yeah, that's an amendment to the original motion, correct? Yeah, so we need a second for that.
Sorry, can you reread that? It's so different. I'm just trying to,
Okay, so essentially I would take out that first line that says approve moving forward with exploring the establishment of student representatives to the school board and direct an ad hoc committee. I would say in collaboration with administration. So this is how it would start, right? In collaboration with administration, develop a proposed implementation framework for future board consideration of increased student voice and representation.
I'm just going to ask the board for clarification. Again, I'm learning here, but I think
Hold on one second.
There's
It
a
has to be-
motion on the table.
There's a motion on the
It has
table.
to be seconded in order to
It has to be seconded. And
If
then
it doesn't
we
get
discuss.
seconded, it dies. So if you want to have a discussion about that, you have to second it. Somebody has to second it.
I guess I'm willing to second if we can continue the discussion.
So moved and seconded. Okay, now we can have a discussion, please. You can say what you want to do.
I'm just trying to, and I want to be thoughtful about language. I didn't love the term drag. That was not my intention with saying we could talk in December. I think, again, I'm maybe not sharing I think we're saying we can move forward and start an ad hoc committee and start the discussion. And we have no idea what the timeline's going to be, what the parameters are going to be, but somebody's going to figure that out and then we'll deal with that later. That's kind of what I'm hearing is what is being proposed today. I tend to be someone who likes to be a little bit more thoughtful in like having at least an outline and then asking people how they feel about it. And I think that's maybe where the disconnect is happening right here. And so I am fully in favor in moving forward with a plan and implementation of having a school board representative, a student school board representative. I just want to make sure when the comment of in the next couple of days was thrown out, that's what worries me a little bit, is just that I maybe can't commit to that in the next couple of days, but I could commit to it in the next couple of months or in the next couple of weeks. And I want to be, but again, that's a lot of different opinions. And so I just wanted to say too, yeah, I'm looking at MSBA's that you shared this article from Christy Peterson and some highlights that come to top of mind for me that I guess is my only hesitation, and I want to be thoughtful about it, is making sure that whatever approach we decide to take, the approach may vary by district, but the commitment must be genuine. Students should not feel like they are being heard as a formality. They should see their contributions matter and influence outcomes. And also that we should be seeking out diverse student perspectives, and not every student's experience is the same, and boards must be intentional about including voices which reflect the full breadth of their communities. Those are the pieces that we are talking about students here. I know policy can be adjusted and adapted, but I don't want to negatively impact this process because it will directly potentially impact a group of students who feel very passionate about this. So,
Okay, so I'm going to make a comment about the motion and the second. I heard only one different word in that motion. The words have been moved around, right? You start with in collaboration with administration. It's already in the motion, right? Once the ad hoc committee is formed, then in collaboration with the administration to develop a proposed policy. The additional word I heard was student voice. All I'm saying is when we have a student representative on the board at the table, that's what we are looking for. That's the main reason why we wanted a student representative, to hear student voice. I mean, that I assumed was a given, was understood. So if you want, we can add that. I'm okay with that. But other than that, there is no significant change in the recommended motion. So I'm going to say no to the amendment, but I'm willing to listen to colleagues here.
But I think the revised motion, we took the ad hoc committee out, right? So is everybody okay with that?
No, I didn't hear.
Did I hear? Right, because I think the revised motion was in collaboration with administration. So really, the administration will put the framework together and they'll bring it back to board. We don't need an ad hoc committee. Now, that framework could turn into policy at later point in time. But what I heard is
who is collaborating with the administration? In collaboration with the administration, somebody has to collaborate with the administration, and that somebody is the ad hoc committee. That's what's in the original motion.
So typically on our committees, even our ad hoc committees, which we have one at this time, right? We only have one ad hoc committee. There is always an administrative representative. So it depends on who the administrative representative would be, right? I asked that question and we haven't figured out even who the administrative representative would be. And again, I think this has to do with work and strategy and what we're developing as we're going into the new school year. I think it's important that we have a framework that can encompass all of these things. So there could be an ad hoc committee, there could be a task force, there could be, I mean, it could be a lot of different things, I want to give Dr. Virgin the widest lens, as he's requested, to be able to create a really great solution within our system and within the work flows that are already going on. That's what I'm asking for.
We do have an ad hoc committee, and that ad hoc committee does board members. So my point is, this one also should have.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, but
Yes.
I thought you said you removed the ad hoc committee wording.
So I'm saying in this motion, as I put it, as I motioned for it, the ad hoc committee verbiage would not be there because it would be a framework that's created and Dr. Virgin.
Okay. That's where I disagree, but go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. So that's where it would, I mean, the framework would come from. That's the difference between governance and management, right? Like is we say we want to, so as a body who governs, we are saying we want enhanced student voice. We want enhanced student representation. How do we do that? The how is his job.
How is the policy? And by the way, the student voice is at the table. So that is governance. The student representative will be a part of the governance process. He or she will not be a part of the management process. That's why I'm saying repeatedly that it has to be a board decision. Okay. Anyway.
So I think, let me play it back. So I think what you're saying is nothing changes. There will be board representatives who will collaborate with Rob's team, but really Rob's team is driving the framework. From the resolution standpoint, we are just taking that ad hoc committee word out. Okay. But in reality, the way we'll operationalize it, yes, there will be board members, whoever we decide at the table, working with Rob and his team is all. So again, we're just,
it is important.
We are changing the language, but I don't think we are changing the construct.
The board members, all 7 board members cannot work with the administration. So what I'm saying is the ad hoc committee, the 3 board members or the 2 board members, whatever it is, less than 4, right? Because other it becomes an open meeting, it's a quorum. So that ad hoc committee, like our other committees, will work in collaboration with administration. So I've made sure that wording is there. There is no doubt that the ad hoc committee will be collaborating and working with the administration. We do not want to work in vacuum. But this is absolutely a governance role. And if board members disagree, then so be it. Yeah. Okay, so, Alicia?
Dan just was sort of saying, do I have any questions? And I guess I don't disagree at all with what you're saying. I guess my understanding, though, is yes, in our committees, we do have administration. So we're not showing up at finance committee with all the finances as a board. Right. We are collaborating. And so my only hesitation here is that I feel like I personally, and maybe it is because I'm newer, but I feel like there's other board members who also want to learn about how would this actually be implemented? What staff in the buildings? What buildings? Are we talking about just high school? Are we talking about middle school? Are we talking about...
That is the role of the committee and the administration together to come up with that policy. That will all be a part of the policy. That will be all the part of the rules.
Right. And so I guess, yes, I think it is just a language thing then.
Yeah.
Because it feels like you are saying you feel that needs to be done by ad hoc, and I'm hearing Heidi presenting that could be done with a variety of frameworks. And so we're just, if we are voting today to move forward with something, then.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
I listen, but I hearing governance. This is governance. This is allowing students to be in a governance role. So I don't understand why are we, as if right now we're actually going around the idea, are we good with it, having a student representative? Then the details can be worked out. And yes, it needs to be worked out by ad hoc committee. It should not be just coming from administration. It is governance role.
I'm absolutely saying that we would work in collaboration. It would not be only administration. Never, ever, ever does anything at this table come, or should it be suggested that it comes to this table just from administration. We work in collaboration. That's what all of our committee work is, and I spend a whole lot of time working in collaboration with a lot of people. So there's one other piece that I haven't shared. So about a year ago, Milland, Sheila, and I were at the high school. We met with Principal Gengler and the advisor of the student council, who's also a teacher at the high school. And we had a long conversation about representatives on the school board, in particular student representatives on the board. And there were concerns from the high school about how that would impact students. And the way that things are worded right now, I can tell you with confidence, is not what the outcome of that conversation yielded or was the hope for. And so I think it's important that we also consider, and Dr. Anderson, our previous superintendent, was also in the room at the time. So I think it's important that we consider that conversation, and the advisor, the student council advisor, had gone to students and had some conversations with them. And I'm just feeling like we need to lean into that conversation a little bit too. My concern, again, is not with, is it governance? What I'm saying is the way that we are approaching this is falling outside of our governance role. And we need to be, the way that we work in collaboration is that handshake between the friendly fence, the handshake between the board and administration. And so we have to allow that handshake to happen. But because of the specificity of how this is worded, it's not allowing the handshake. We are specifying very, very clearly.
I do remember that conversation. Can I just respond to that very quickly?
I'm going to move that we call the question.
Oh, you want to call the question?
Yes,
Okay. Diane is calling the question, or this is for the amendment to the motion?
Yes, Heidi's proposed.
All right, so he's calling to question, that's a motion. We need a second for that, and I second that. This will be a vote. We go directly, no discussion on this. So please have a roll call vote, please.
May I clarify again? Right now, we're voting on how Heidi's version?
No,
Heidi's amendment,
Yep, thank you.
No, right now we are voting first on his call to question. He's saying stop the conversation.
We're voting on Heidi's amendment.
But I thought you called to question, so we have to vote on that first. That has to be voted on also. Call to question has to be voted.
I just need a second. That's all I need.
No, we have to vote.
I
seconded, yes.
Yeah, you seconded, so now I can move to a roll call vote on the amendment.
No,
so
Dan, on the call to question first.
All right, can we?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, all in favor, actually.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion passes. So you
All right.
will, yes.
All
So
right,
we will
colleagues.
stop that conversation, and now we can go back
All right, so
to the amendment.
all right, so the amendment as Director Cater moved. All right, starting with Director Cater. Director Cater,
Yes.
Director Ayers,
No?
Director Genestra, Director Genestra votes no. Director Little,
Yes.
Director Bendy,
No.
Director Pryor is absent. Director Sahoni.
No. Motion fails. Motion to amend fails, right? Yes. So let's go back. Now we go back to the original motion as presented. So the recommended action originally was to approve moving forward with exploring the establishment of student representatives for the school board and direct an ad hoc committee in collaboration with administration to develop a proposed policy and implementation framework for future board consideration. Okay, this is a roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sheila Pryor. Sheila Pryor is absent. Heidi Cater.
No.
Valentina Ayers.
Yes.
Dan Ginestra. Dan Ginestra votes yes. Alicia Little.
Yes.
Paras Bendy.
Yes.
Milan Sahoni.
Yes, I'm sorry, Alicia's vote
was yes.
Yes, okay, all right. So the motion passes. Thank you, everyone. I forgot to read a statement that the Vice Chair Pryor had emailed me. She's absent and she apologizes for that. So I'm going to quickly read that. I know this is all done, but I owe it to her to read this. So I'm intrigued by the idea of having a student representative on the school board, and I would like to explore the idea further. I think establishing an ad hoc committee is a good first step. It gives us an opportunity to determine whether and how a student representative program could work for our board and our students. Creating the committee does not commit the board to anything beyond studying the idea and developing recommendations. I expect the committee's work will help us understand what student representation would look like in practice while giving board members, community members, and administration an opportunity to provide input. Importantly, any policy proposal that comes out of the committee would still need to come to the full board for a discussion and vote. I hope this resolution to establish an ad hoc committee passes. Thank you. Okay, so there is one more item left on the agenda, and that's board reports. And I will share MSBA Director's report. I'm on the MSBA Board of Directors, as you might know. I'm going to share that report on the Permanent School Fund Amendment and Minnesota Kids Rise. So I'm going to ask two questions. How many of you have heard of the Minnesota Permanent School Fund?
At length.
You have everybody, right? Good, that's good. How many new Minnesota school districts have a constitutionally established trust fund that benefits every public school district? Everybody knew? Okay. All right. So let's watch a small video that MSBA has put together by an agency called Captivate. Amy, thank you.
Did you know that every Minnesota public school student is part of a public school trust? More than 168 years ago, when Minnesota became a state, lands were set aside to create a permanent trust dedicated to one purpose: supporting public education for generations of Minnesota students. Today, that promise continues through Minnesota's Permanent School Fund. Revenue generated from school trust lands is invested, creating a permanent financial resource that helps support public school districts, charter schools, and tribal schools throughout Minnesota. Over time, careful management has helped the Permanent School Fund grow to more than $2.3 billion. This growth has prompted a discussion about how annual distributions from the fund should be calculated. This November, Minnesota voters will be asked to consider a constitutional amendment to update how annual distributions from the existing fund are calculated. The proposal does not create a new fund. It does not change the purpose of the trust, and it does not raise income or property taxes. Recommended from a nonpartisan task force and with strong bipartisan support from the Minnesota legislature, the proposed amendment reflects modern trust and endowment management practices and will increase distributions to schools while maintaining the fund for future generations. Learn more about Minnesota's Permanent School Fund and this fall's constitutional amendment at minnesotapsfamendment.org.
I thought this was a helpful way to introduce the Permanent School Fund topic because it provides background information in an educational format. And this is very important for voters in this fall. As many of you know, I serve as the MSBA Director for District 4. One of the responsibilities in that role is to help keep school boards in the Director District informed about statewide issues, resources, and opportunities that affect public education. This fall, Minnesota voters will consider a constitutional amendment related to the Permanent School Fund. MSBA has developed educational resources to help board members and districts understand the issue and communicate accurate information with their communities. The goal is to make sure our communities have access to factual educational information. MSBA has provided resources that are available to help board members and district communicate accurate information with their communities. I also wanted to share information about Minnesota Kids Rise, a statewide effort to highlight the people programs and opportunities found in Minnesota public schools. There are resources available for districts to share student, staff, graduate, and community success stories. Resources for both PSF and MKR can be found on the MSBA website. Please reach out to me if you have trouble finding them. Thank you for the opportunity to share these updates. I encourage everyone to take a look at these resources and consider how we can continue informing our community and celebrating the great work happening in our public schools. Thank you very much. Any comments, any questions? I will try and answer them as much as I can from what I know. No. All right, hearing none, thank you. Moving on to the last item, this concludes the Wayzata Public Schools regular board meeting. The next work session will be on Monday, August 24th at 4 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Moved, seconded. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. The motion carries. The Wayzata Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting for Monday, August 10th, 2026 is adjourned.
Did Heidi